See, have this here. Yes, we do. Esteban, what's going on? How's it going, guys? Wanted to do a live stream versus just a regular 5-minute video today, talking about two things: trying to perfect the Minnesota Vikings offensive line, and then also the whole schedule release will come out, I think, on Thursday of this week, but also the news that the Vikings will be traveling to Philadelphia at the link to play the Eagles on Monday Night Football. So we'll talk about both of those. What's up, Todd? What's up, Matt? What's up, Radovan Panovich? What's up, everybody? X Maddie XX says, Randy, you always brighten up my day. You have such a positive impact on my life. Oh, well, thank you so much. That means a lot. So let's talk about first. We'll get to the Eagles in just a second. I want to try to perfect the Vikings offensive line here. So the bookends, there's nothing to do. Christian Darrisaw, left tackle. Brian O'Neill at right tackle. As far as the interior offensive line goes, I have two options here, both basically eliminating Garrett Bradbury from the center position. Ed Ingram at right guard. I want him locked in there. I think he's really good in pass protection and in run blocking. He could be special for this team. At left guard, two options: either Chris Reed or Ezra Cleveland. Now, both of these kind of change how the center position goes. Let's start with the safer pick. Ezra Cleveland at left guard, which means Chris Reed at center. I'll take my chances there. Garrett Bradbury, listen, man, either you go shotgun, or if you're going to have Kirk Cousins line up under center for his 5-step, 7-step dropbacks, as soon as he snaps the ball, by the time he turns around and gets set, the defensive tackle is right there in his face. That is football malpractice. So, with that being said, now they believe in Garrett Bradbury. I have no doubt that he's going to be the starting center next year. But if we have Ezra Cleveland at left guard, Chris Reed at center, I'll take my chances. Or, and this is a bigger risk, but I'm so done with Garrett Bradbury, or Chris Reed at left guard, Wyatt Davis at center. That's a big risk there. And who knows if he's even capable of playing center at the pro level. He didn't play at all last year. Who knows? And with center, you have to be really good with communication to the offensive line, protection schemes, everything like that. Those are the two options. I think the safer pick is to have Ezra Cleveland at left guard and Chris Reed at center. And Ed Ingram is right guard no matter what. But man, if you want to have Chris Reed at left guard and goodness, Wyatt Davis at center, I'm good with that too. Just because once Garrett Bradbury is gone, the spotlight is going to go to Ezra Cleveland. I just don't think he belongs in the interior. So those are my thoughts on the offensive line. Your thoughts? Frank says Bradbury at left out, please. Matt says Wyatt Davis is less of a risk than Bradbury. Honestly, everybody is less of a risk than him, because with Bradbury, you already know what you have. A swinging gait, not even a swinging gait. He can maintain his balance. He's really good at staying in front of his man. He just has zero strength. He just gets backed up every single time, to where Bradbury is damn near sacking Kirk Cousins. It's ridiculous. Jeremy Lofstrom says, hey, Randy, do you create the animations at the beginning of the videos? I do. I do all the production, everything with it. So, yeah, I do that. Julian Skull from Egan, Skull to you. Just Bucks 2 says, great content. Appreciate that. Matt says, Reed at center. Ingram at guard. Well, Ingram for me is at right guard no matter what. More of your thoughts? Matt. Well, all right. Matthiasen says, or Matthiasen, sorry if I butchered your name. Matthiasen says, I believe Cleveland is a must start, no competition. He can start another 2 years until his contract is up. The problem is he is much like Bradbury, where he has no strength going up against defensive tackles. That's his problem. He's a left tackle. There's always that guy that we have every year on the offensive line, whether it's Dakota Dozier or Pat Elflein or Oli Udo last year. Now it's going to be Garrett Bradbury. And once he's gone, it's going to be Ezra Cleveland. I'm telling you right now, just because. And with Bradbury, I think I've been saying that for the last 2 years, right? When the spotlight was on other players, Elfline and Dakota Dozier, I said, Bradbury, he's really got to step up. And it's really sad because you would think each offseason, training camp, the start of mini camp, what have you, the OTAs, that he would show up a little bit bulkier. Just eat a couple more flapjacks for breakfast. Eat a couple of bowls of Cap'n Crunch. Do something to bulk up, and he gets lighter and lighter and lighter, which is not good if you're going to be a center. Frank says, who would win? Oh, my God. Frank says, who would win? Bradbury blocking Barr. Bradbury. Yeah. As bad as Bradbury has been, Anthony Barr is much worse as far as rushing the passer when he's engaged with blockers. He can't shed a block to save his life. He really can't. More of your thoughts on the offensive, but ultimately we know what's going to happen, right? I think we can talk about what we prefer on the O-line, but I think what's ultimately going to happen is you got your bookends. Ezra Cleveland, he's going to play left guard. Chris Reed, right guard. Bradbury at center. I think that's what's going to happen no matter what. Even though we can fantasize all we want, they keep praising Bradbury, man, for whatever reason. So you don't have the right to be shocked when shit hits the fan. You don't. But I think he'll be gone after next year, Bradbury. Valhalla Sports Talk says, I can't wait to see all these offensive playmakers we picked up in the draft to carry us to our undefeated season. No offensive play. There was Jalen Naylor. So, okay. Ty Cunningham, I get there's a lot of hype with him, but there are just so many names. Don't forget about AJ Rose, man. The dude had a beast preseason last year. I just don't see how you can climb the mountain of Dalvin Cook, Alexander Madison, Kene Nwangu, and AJ Rose. Although, if he is going to eclipse anybody, Ty Cunningham is going to be AJ Rose. But with that said, in the Vikings defense, not picking up playmakers for this offense, you still got Justin Jefferson. You have the return of Irv Smith Jr. He wasn't there last year, so that's an addition right there. You still have Adam Thielen, KJ Osborne. He's going to get better. Okay, maybe more plays for Kene Nwangu. This offense is still going to be lights out. But I don't want to keep harping on the draft. I would have went Jameson Williams at 12, but we saw what happened. I think they're going to be legit no matter what, this offense. Voltron says, do we have to wait till Kirk gets injured because of Bradbury not doing his job? The great thing about Kirk is he's Iron Man. He just does not get hurt. The amount of hits that he takes from this crappy offensive line, and he still stands up and he's ready to go the next play, it's incredible. The only game he's missed, I think he's missed 2 games total in his career with the Vikings. I think in Washington, he played every single game as well. But I think he's only missed 2 games in his career with Minnesota. One of them was the COVID game. He was on the COVID list, so whatever. That happened last year. And then I want to say it was 2019 when we already made the playoffs, week 17 against Chicago. It was one of those end of the season games where it didn't mean anything, so don't play him at all. Those were the only games that he missed. All the hits that he takes, and he still stands up and he's ready to go the next snap. It's amazing. So I think he's going to stay healthy despite his center, Garrett Bradbury. Boop, boop, boop. Valhalla Sports Talk says, like you, I have about 0 faith in Irv Smith. No, what? I have all the faith in Irv Smith. Maybe you're talking to someone else. Jason says, do you see the easier schedule playing a factor in making the playoffs since the majority of the team was kept? Actually, let's bring up, we don't know the exact schedule, but we at least know the opponents for the Vikings in 2022. Let me bring that up right now. 2022 opponents. And I'll get to the Eagles in just a second, week 2, because I got quite a bit to say for Vikings fans to protect themselves if you are going to travel to the link, which don't go at all. But if you are, I got a few suggestions. So, home opponents, besides the divisional rivals, Vikings have Dallas, Giants, Jets, Patriots. Who else do they got? Cardinals, Colts. And then after that, you got the divisional games. Okay. So as far as those home games, Dallas, that's going to be a toss-up. You should beat the Giants and the Jets. Patriots with Bill Belichick, it's always interesting. I'll say that's a toss-up as well. Arizona, sure. Indianapolis, Matt Ryan is a much better quarter. If we had faced the Colts with Carson Wentz, I'm like, yo, go all in on Jonathan Taylor, stop him, hold him to less than 100 yards rushing. You will beat the Colts. But Matt Ryan is a much better quarterback, so I don't know. But guaranteed wins, Giants, Jets. And I'm going to say of the 1, 2, 3, 4 toss-up games outside of the divisional games, I'm going to split the difference and say 2. So that's at least 4 wins there. As far as the divisional games, I'm sorry, you should sweep the Bears, both home and away. Beat the Bears. They're a disaster. The Lions, we do this every year. Oh, they're on the come up. They're going to have their breakout season, and it just never really happens. Jared Goff is still the quarterback. I get it. They beat us last year. We have a much better coaching staff. That's not going to happen. You should sweep the Lions as well, but I'm going to say you win at least one game. So that's what? 4 wins and then 3 wins between the Bears and the Lions. So that's 7. And I'm going to say you split the Packers. So that's 8 wins right there. Road games. Eagles. That's a tough place to play, man. Jalen Hurts, he's getting better. Washington, that's a win. So that's 9. Buffalo, we have to go on the road to Buffalo. I wish Stephon Diggs had to go back at US Bank Stadium, but whatever. That's going to be a tough game. Josh Allen has proven me wrong. I thought he would be a bum. He's legit. I don't know about that. I'm going to say a toss-up. But I hope they do win. If nothing for Stephon Diggs' revenge game turns out to be a flop for him. So far, that's 8 wins. Miami, I don't care that they got Tyreek Hill. I don't believe in Tua. That's 9. The Saints, Jameis Winston, he'll throw 46 interceptions in that game alone. That's what, 10 wins? Yeah, goodness, that's 10 wins. And the rest of the other games are toss-ups. So I'm going to say at least 10 wins for the Vikings. I already said that moving forward, but damn it, I just broke it down right there and I came up with 10. More of your thoughts before we get to the Eagles. Maddie says, go game by game. Just did that prediction right there. Jeremy says, as long as Cooper Rush isn't starting, we have it, and we have the bag against Dallas. Well, we don't have the former head coach coaching up against backup quarterbacks, so we don't have to worry about that. Ed Donatel will not allow a backup quarterback to beat this team. I get it. Things can happen, but with that last head coach, man, backup quarterbacks, that was just a recipe for disaster. Steph Richards says, would you trade Jefferson next year for a 1st and 3rd to get a franchise quarterback in the draft? No, I'm not trading Justin Jefferson for anything at all. You keep him no matter what, pay him whatever the hell he wants. Perez Burrow says, love the show, bro. Huge Vikes fan from the Bahamas. Hey, appreciate that. Thanks, Perez. Legendary KV says, will Lewisine have a breakout season as a rookie next to Hitman? He better. I think he will. I think because of his coverage skills that he brings to the table, you can kind of, with Kyle Hamilton, I was breaking that down as far as if the Vikings, they want to go for him, okay, fine. But Kyle Hamilton, his strength is more as serving as an extra linebacker between the line of scrimmage and the first down marker. So he plays as an extra linebacker, even though he's a safety, comes up to the line of scrimmage, whatever. But with Lewis Cine, his coverage skills, you can interchange Hitman and Lewis Cine to say, okay, one play we'll have Cine playing deep center field, Hitman at the line of scrimmage, either rushing the quarterback or to play inside. You can do that the next play with the opposite players. Lewis Cine at the line of scrimmage, Hitman playing deep as far as an extra safety to protect the corners. So I think he's going to have a really good season. I wouldn't be surprised if he's in the running for Defensive Rookie of the Year. Excuse me. Now, as far as the Eagles game, let's talk about that and we'll get to more of your thoughts. The Eagles game. The Vikings are now scheduled to play the Philadelphia Eagles at the Link Monday Night Football Week 2. Okay, my first advice to Vikings fans is don't go. I have in-laws that are Eagles fans. I have friends and family that are from the Philadelphia area. Do not go. I cannot stress this enough. And I know for people that say, well, we're going to live our lives and you can't be scared of it. Okay, go be a hero if you want to. But, and I said this during the NFC Championship game 2017, don't go there. Football fans in general, if you're a fan of the opposing team traveling to the road game, you're already looked at. I don't know what it is about football and fans in general. When you see an opposing fan wearing a different jersey, it's like Gladiator. It's like off with his head. Except I will say, US Bank Stadium, the Minnesota Vikings fans are different because I had my in-laws. We all traveled to US Bank Stadium in 2019 to play the Eagles, where, I mean, Kirk Cousins went all the way off. Zach Brown before that game. Well, Kirk Cousins, blah, blah, blah. Kirk Cousins went off. He played his ass off. My in-laws, they were there. Vikings fans couldn't be nicer. They're so nice. That's not generally how it works. Man, you go to any other stadium as an opposing fan, they're like, all right, yo, what's up with you? But Eagles fans, they take it to the next level. They're not US Bank Stadium, at the Link, the NFC Championship game, they're throwing beer cans. They're doing everything. They are ruthless. Do not go. But if you are going to go, my suggestion is do not wear a Vikings fan or do not wear a Vikings jersey. Wear a North Face jacket, a black jacket, a white t-shirt. Sit in the stadium. And if the Vikings do something great, don't react. Don't do anything. Just sit there and be neutral and be like, oh, yeah, that was crazy. Because the moment you do the skull chant or the moment you sit up and go, yay, an Adam Thielen touchdown, everybody in that stadium is now going to be zeroed in on you. You don't want that happening. Don't go. But if you do, blend in with the crowd. Dakota says, Randy, what's your prediction on Vikings this year? I'm going to say 12-5 or better. I'm going to say at least 10-7 or better. Paul says, I heard Toby Gerhart was on the NFL Network and he called Dalvin Cook overrated and said Vikings fans should get rid of him or said Vikings should get rid of him. What are your thoughts and how do you feel about that? So this is my first time hearing about this. If this is true that Toby Gerhart went on the NFL Network and called Dalvin Cook overrated, that's really unfair. And that's really unfortunate because I like Toby Gerhart. I like what he did for the Vikings. I thought he was a nice player. Dalvin Cook isn't overrated. I would say, if anything, he may have a point and the Vikings should get rid of Dalvin Cook because of the position that he plays. And when you're paying a running back, when you give a running back a second contract, it really straps the team in a position to where they can only do but so much, especially if you have a quarterback like Kirk Cousins that's making like $30 million against the cap every year. Dalvin Cook is getting paid this year. Let's see here. For contract purposes alone, Gerhart has a point, but he's not overrated. When healthy, he's one of the best running backs in the league. If anything, that's the problem. He can't stay healthy. This year, he has a cap hit of nearly $12 million. He's getting paid overall. How does he have a cap hit of nearly $12 million, but has a cash total of $9 million? Football contracts are so stupid. But paying a running back a shit ton of money, that's the reason why you should get rid of Dalvin Cook. I would have traded him this offseason, no lie, but That's the only thing. To say he's overrated is ridiculous. He's one of the best running backs in the game. Art Vandelay. Art Vandelay. Vandelay Industries. Never believe anything that comes out of the mouth of a guy with a name like Toby. Dakota says, I think James Cook wanted to be a Viking. Well, that would be super weird. Just having both the Cook brothers. I mean, it's nice in theory. It's a good storyline, but it wouldn't have made much sense. Even though they drafted Ty Cunningham, so they didn't mind drafting a running back. So whatever. Zach Cunningham says, why should we listen to the guy who sucked in Jacksonville? You know, it's his opinion. He's allowed to have an opinion. We never played sports. We never played professional sports. We have an opinion. He's allowed to have his. I think he's wrong. Dalvin Cook is not overrated. You can't say he's overrated. But you just can't. Just say the money and I'll buy it after that. But come on, man. Jaden Berry says, I feel like this coaching staff are more focused on the safety position and will probably run 3 safety sets. Maybe. Either that or they'll interchange that with maybe having Brian Asamoah in the passing game as well. That'll be interesting. It really is. 3 safety sets. So Hitman, Lewis Seen, Cam Bynum, that'll be your 3rd safety, I'm assuming, in those situations. Barron says, Doogie said the Vikings signed Chris Reed with the intention to play him at center. Okay. I won't be mad at that, but I guess my thing is, if you're going to sign Chris Reed with the intention of him playing at center, it says that you don't believe in Garrett Bradbury, even though you've been talking him up and praising him through the media. And if that is the case, which I totally agree with, if you don't believe in Garrett Bradbury, if that is the case, signing Chris Reed with the intention of playing center, you don't believe in Bradbury, why not draft the center in the draft as well to give you options at least to where, okay, if Chris Reed doesn't work out at center, then all right, you can play him at one of the guard spots and you still have someone that you drafted to play center. It seems like the Vikings backed themselves into a corner by, if that is the case, Barron, if they sign Chris Reed with the intention to play center and it doesn't work out, then what? You go back to Garrett Bradbury? You need to have options. Twin King Johnson says, I hope we sign JC Treader instead. Bradbury is too small and weak. I'm really interested. I get the knee issues, the knee and ankle problems for JC Treader. He was on the injury report every week last season. I get it. And didn't he play every game last season despite all that? Or he may have missed one game. I can't remember. I get that there are knee and ankle issues with JC Treader, but come on, man. Come on. Garrett Bradbury, no disrespect, is the equivalent of me playing center. I will get destroyed every single snap. You will take any option that you can get over Bradbury at this point. So we can't sit here and say, well, the injuries with JC Treader, I don't know, that we're too good for JC Treader, or he's a president of the players union. Who gives a damn? He can play. He's an upgrade over Bradbury every day of the week. He missed all of practice last season and still balled out. Let him do yoga on the sidelines. Who cares? Man, I would sign him right now. Stiff Richard says, bro, Treader sat out every practice. Why would we sign this dude for that kind of money? Stop. Because Bradbury sucks. And JC Treader, let me get the exact numbers. JC Treader last year on the injury report every single week and still played 16 games. That's why. Whatever worked, and Kwesi was there in Cleveland last year, whatever worked last year for him to miss all of practice in the 2021 season, do it again in 2022, he'll be fine. And Bradbury sucks. That's why. Give a damn if he missed all of practice last year. Garrett Bradbury, he practiced all last year, right? He practiced all last year, played every single game, and still sucked. Please. I could play center at the exact equivalent of Garrett Bradbury. Just get backed up into your quarterback for a sack. I could do that for way less money. Give me like $250,000. What does Garrett Bradbury get paid? Let's find out right now. I could save this team so much money against the cap and in savings. Give the Wolf brothers a break. in their wallets. Garrett Bradbury contract. He is getting paid this year. Garrett Bradbury is getting paid this year $2.25 million. He's $4.1 million against the cap. I would replace Garrett Bradbury for $250,000. You would save literally $2 million by signing me to play as your starting center next year. Boom. Valhalla Sports Talk says Randy going Iverson. Exactly. We're talking about practice. Stiff Richards. We're talking about practice right now in the games. He played 60. He missed one game last year. JC Tretter. And we're talking about practice. Please. Tang Yang says with the super chat, I appreciate that. Do you think Justin Jefferson would request a trade if Vikings have another subpar season? Or do you think Adams' level of money would keep him here long term? I think, first off, the money would speak for itself. You have to pay him. So I think as long as he gets his money, I think he'll be okay. There is part of it to where he just saw his guys, his LSU buddies in the Super Bowl last year, Odell Beckham Jr., Jamar Chase, Joe Burrow, his quarterback at LSU. They were just in the Super Bowl. I know he wants to win. He even talked about it in an interview. I'm used to winning, man. So this is a different situation for him. I think the money alone would be enough, but the Vikings, they need to start winning. And I think this is going to be the time they actually start living up to their potential because of Kevin O'Connell as head coach calling the plays on offense, because of Ed Donatel calling the plays on defense. I think we are finally going to see what this team is truly capable of starting next year. And I think that is what is going to keep Justin Jefferson here long term. He's going to get his money and the team will start performing. Let's see. Stiff Richard says, laughing my ass off, dude, he knew the plays. He not going to have to practice with a new team. He can learn the plays here. Study the playbook, right? Go out there and do walkthroughs with your offensive line, whatever. He is going to be fine. He's a smart ass dude, JC Tretter. All right, you know what? No, instead of arguing, all right, JC Tretter, why would you bring? Argue Garrett Bradbury over JC Tretter right now, Stiff Richards. Do it. But besides practice, stop it. Xmatty XX says, I love JJ so much. However, tell me there isn't a tiny part of you that wants to see Burrow, Chase, JJ in the NFL together. I don't want to see them together. I want to see Justin Jefferson on this team forever. Not a tiny part. All the parts of me wants to see Justin Jefferson on this team forever. Kyle says Irv Smith Jr. breakout season. Yeah, that as long as he stays healthy, man. This is the argument against the Vikings, or the argument for the Vikings against taking a receiver in this draft in the first round, the early, day one, day two, is to say, well, you know what? Irv Smith Jr. is returning. That's essentially like drafting another receiver. He's a tight end, but he's a tight end wide receiver hybrid. He has every talent in the world to be Darren Waller level. He really, really does. So I think this team, they're gonna really show something. I know we say that every year, but this new coaching staff, I think we're gonna see what it's all about. Stiff Richards says, Team Bradbury. I'm done with you, Stiff Richards. Done with you. Jaden Berry says, I see KJ Osborne as the day one third receiver, but I can see them throwing different receivers with the creative offensive minds. Yeah, I can see that as well. I think, honestly, your wide receiver 3 is legit going to be Irv. As far as the targets are concerned, I know he's a tight end, but as far as your legit third option, it's going to be Irv. Dalvin Cook, he'll be in the mix as well, but Irv's going to go off this year as long as he stays healthy. D. Lindstrom says teams are tired of overpaying wide receivers. Look around. I love JJ, but we should have took Williams in case he's going to be a jerk at contract time. That's the reality of the league. I think they should have taken Jameson Williams as well. But what I will say is, unless you, and this takes me back to the first round, if you were able to get Detroit's first round pick next year, okay, you could go for CJ Stroud, Bryce Young. You could use your ammunition to trade up for the next quarterback of this team. The reason why I think Justin Jefferson has leverage to get his contract with the Minnesota Vikings is because of the quarterback situation. I like Kirk Cousins. I defend him. But at the same time, you want to know why the Chiefs, they had no problem trading Tyreek Hill? Because they have Patrick Mahomes. When you have a superstar quarterback, or the same thing with the Green Bay Packers, although Devontae Adams, he didn't want to be there anymore. I think he wanted to play for either his mother or his grandmother locally, so he went to the Vegas Raiders. I get all that, but they have Aaron Rodgers. Okay, they have a superstar quarterback. I think Kirk Cousins is a top 10 quarterback. He's not a superstar quarterback. So because of that, you got to keep Justin Jefferson, because if you trade him, then all right, Adam Thielen, he's not going to be on the team much longer. So then you're going to have Kirk Cousins, and then KJ Osborne, then Irv's going to be your number one option. It's too muddy in the waters after that. Let's see. More of your thoughts. D. Lindstrom says, good point. Yeah, man. If you have a superstar quarterback, you can say, you know what, this sucks. I would love to keep this receiver on here, but we'll cut our losses because at least we still have this all-pro quarterback no matter what. We don't have that right now. But you should have got Detroit's first-round pick next year, because everyone that hates Kirk Cousins, you could have your quarterback next year. I'm over it. I'm off it. Kwesi is the greatest GM of all time. I was told that I've been too hard on him, so he's great. Everything he does is fantastic. Okay, more of your thoughts. Tang Yang says, thoughts on Madison staying next season or going somewhere else? I think there's a chance both Dalvin Cook and Madison are gone next year. So the argument for Ty Cunningham to be on this team is that, well, you know what? You lose both of those players. If you lose both of those players, Cook and Alexander Madison, then, well, you know what? What running backs do you have outside of that? You know, you're going to have Kane and Wangu. Is he going to be your number one? Is it going to be H.A. Rose? Is it going to be Ty Cunningham? I have no idea. I don't know, man. But I think both of them are going to be gone next year. Excuse me. More of your thoughts. More of your thoughts here. Twin King Johnson says, do you think that Pat Pete stays with the Vikings, or do they keep him as a mentor? Man, you know what? He is Terrence Newman right now, the second coming of Terrence Newman. He's an older player, but he still balls out. He's still super solid. And as long as he keeps performing like he did last year, he can stay as long as he wants to. And based on how he talks about the Vikings in his podcast, Ty Chandler, my apologies. Based on how he talks about the Vikings in his podcast, it seems like he wants to be with this team as long as the team wants him. So, hey, it's as long as he keeps playing solid like he has been, he'll be on this team again next year. But eventually the cliff is going to come. But he is the second coming to Terrence Newman. He really is. I call him Ty Cunningham. My apologies on that. Zach Cunningham says, let's not forget we have to keep our Hall of Fame backup quarterback, Sean Mannion. Yeah, I'm done with him. They apparently teams know something about Sean Mannion that we do not. And the media, how they were just really shaking their butt cheeks for this guy. He's an elite player. So I apologize for all the slander I've delivered towards Sean Mannion. He's great in the film room. He helps the quarterback study, and he is worth every penny, taking up cap space on this roster. So, you know, Sean Mannion and Kellen Mond, they'll battle it out. But based on how the trends have been going, Sean Mannion is going to be that backup quarterback again for the Vikings. And based on how he performed against Green Bay at Lambeau Field against Aaron Rodgers, he's going to be first ballot Hall of Fame, and he's going to be entered in the Vikings Ring of Honor. He really is. So I have nothing bad to say about him. He's great. He really, really is. So yeah, good for him. He's not stealing money at all. Everything he is making from the Vikings, he has 100% earned it. And no, he deserves everything. So I have nothing else to say about the great Sean Mannion. Maddie says, if I'm ever feeling down, I watch your videos imitating Sean Mannion. Me and my family gather around the TV watching the videos. I appreciate that. I need to do a skit soon at some point. I'm sure Mannion is going to be involved in that, but no, he's fantastic, man. Jay Larsh says, if Andrew Booth Jr. is healthy, do you think he takes Dantzler's spot or Pat P? I think if anything, he take Cam Dantzler's spot because Pat P, he's solidified. He's going to be an outside corner. Dantzler has the one. He is the one that has to prove something this year, really. Third year man out of Mississippi State. He's been way too inconsistent, and maybe you can say it's because of the former head coach. Maybe, but this year he's got to show something. So if anything, Booth, he takes his spot. And I think that's ultimately what's going to happen. Trey Day says the best vid was when Green Bay lost to San Francisco. Pure emotion. Oh, that skit. Yeah, that I had a good time doing that with the AEW belt. Actually, let me get that belt right now. It's right here. Let me get that belt. Green Bay Packers fans. Talking about some last dance. Aaron Rodgers. Oh, it's the last dance. I'm gonna do this Instagram picture talking about some last dance, and I'm gonna stay with Green Bay anyway. What a drama queen that guy is. Last dance. Tang Yang with the super chat. I appreciate that. He says, extend, cut, trade, JJ Randy Moss. Oh, come on. Extend, cut, trade, JJ Randy Moss, Chris Carter. Well, first off, you can cut Chris Carter. And then what am I supposed to do here? Extend Randy Moss. Like, he's the greatest receiver of all time. And trade Justin Jefferson. It's easy for me. Especially if we're talking about primes. Like, it's Justin Jefferson is great. He's the closest thing to Randy Moss on this team, I think. But the difference is, while Jefferson is getting all the yards, Randy Moss was getting all the touchdowns. He got, 18 touchdowns his rookie year? Come on, man. Extend Randy Moss, trade Justin Jefferson, cut Chris Carter. Easy. Game Changer 16 says, do you think the Vikings make a run at Akeem Hicks? I think it would be a great pickup if the price is right. Well, if you have no problem, signing an injury-prone defensive tackle in Harrison Phillips, then why not sign Akeem Hicks? And quite honestly, after Dalvin Tomlinson on the defensive line, I do have questions. I don't think we have enough dogs on the defensive line. So what? Harrison Phillips, he's going to presumably start alongside Dalvin Tomlinson. Then after that, Armon Watts, okay, but Tomlinson, Akeem Hicks, and Harrison Phillips, I would like that a lot more than what we have right now. I think that we don't have enough brute force on that defensive line. That's just my humble opinion. I hope I'm wrong about that. Trade a special teams. Matthiasen says, remember Dantzler tweeted that he was biting his tongue. He wanted to talk about that bum Zimmer. Yeah, that's great and all, but he's gone now. Cam Dantzler, much like Ja Morant, he's on Twitter too much. You doing way too much. I'm going to prove everyone wrong. And all right, it's all about next man up. And I'm going to really show what I'm all about. I don't care anymore. Show what you're about, right? It's all about your play. All this talking doesn't mean anything. Stop tweeting. Start playing better. He's gone. Zimmer's gone. I get it. I didn't like Zimmer either. In fact, name another Vikings content creator that was more critical of Zimmer than me. I get it, but he's gone. Stop tweeting. That's what I'm about with him. You don't have that excuse anymore. More of your thoughts. Chad Myers, why haven't the Vikings signed Treader yet? Because Kwesi knows all. He is the greatest GM of all time. The draft he just had was an all-time great performance. And whatever he says, he knows more than us, which he really does. But if he doesn't want JC Treader, they believe in Garrett Bradbury. And Garrett Bradbury is Kwesi Adofo-Mensah has not signed JC Treader because Kwesi Adofo-Mensah believes that Garrett Bradbury gives this team a better chance to win. And I am going to trust him in his assessment of Bradbury and Sean Mannion that, you know what? He's right. Garrett Bradbury, better for this team ahead of JC Treader. More of your thoughts. Hyperbeam says, just join Why the F are you wearing that? So that someone mentioned as far as the Packers skit that I did when they lost to the San Francisco 49ers, and I made fun of the Packers because they like to wear the championship belts and all that stuff. And the AEW belt was right next to me on this couch. And I've decided to put that on, then the cheesehead hat. So yeah. Stiff Richards, you're still you working hard today, bro. He says, bro, all caps, bro. No one wants Treader. You, Stiff Richards, have yet to make an argument of Garrett Bradbury over JC Treader. You're doing all this talking about why the Vikings should not sign him instead of talking about why the Vikings are better off with Garrett Bradbury. You have yet to do that, Stiff Richards. More of your thoughts. Jarrett Smith. All right. Who is your favorite player on the Vikings you have watched? Jared Allen. For me, buddy, was electric. So for me, it's Randy Moss. And I'm not trying to cop out because I get that that's an easy answer. But Randy Moss was everything to me, man. He's the reason why I'm a Vikings fan. And we would play backyard football. And I wanted to be him. I would be in my bedroom as a kid, lofting up the football and purposely catching it with one hand, with soft hands, to say, okay, how can I emulate this in pickup games? I wanted to be him so bad. Everybody did. In fact, he's the only receiver to where when you make a big time play, his name is used as a verb. You got Moss. That dude was prime time. He was big time. Every time he made a play, it was unlike anything I've ever seen before. He was hands down my favorite player to watch. He's my favorite player in football history. There will never be another player like him, ever. Inefficient says, wait, you on a cheesehead? Yeah, for the skits that I do to make fun of the Packers. 100%. Because, Packers, you've had two of the greatest quarterbacks of all time with 2 titles to show for it. And the argument is, well, use the Vikings. You don't have any championships. Okay, that's fair. But I like to think if we had 2 of the greatest of all time that we'd win more, or any other team would win more. But that's just me. Crown Jews says, do we have the most physical DBs in the NFL? Pat P, I don't think he's necessarily physical. He's just super smart in technique. Harrison Smith, obviously. Lewis Seen, 100%. Andrew Booth Jr., I would say, yeah. Caleb Evans? Yeah. In the NFL, though, that's tough. I don't know if we can necessarily go that far, but they're up there. Deontay McFadden says Kirk does own the Eagles. I get that, but that's going to be a tough game. They might win. They really might, but I don't know, something about playing the Eagles at the Link. And I remember that was 2018 when he first signed with the Vikings. And mind you, they played the Eagles at the Link that year. So that was after the NFC Championship game, 38-7. And Kirk Cousins, to his credit, he understood the mounting pressure against the Vikings, where it's like, we just got smashed against this team in the playoffs last year. Kirk Cousins, he went in the pregame huddle and he got the team fired up. I was fired up for the Vikings. They ended up winning that game. And I think that was the game, if I'm not mistaken, Linval Joseph had like a fumble recovery or maybe an interception somehow for like 99 yards. And after that play for a touchdown, he had the air mask on, just it was like Darth Vader, Darth Linval Joseph. So the Vikings, they won that game. And so Kirk, he does understand the importance of playing the Eagles. So, hey, man, of course they could beat the Eagles. I'm not saying they won't, but that's a tough place to play. If you're a Vikings fan, if you're gonna go to any Vikings games, go to US Bank Stadium. That's just, but if you're from Minneapolis, I get it. You want to go somewhere else. If you want to travel somewhere else, travel anywhere else but Philadelphia. Do not go. But if you do go, blend in, wear a white t-shirt and wear a black jacket. And if they score and then you're in the stadium, if the Vikings score, do not react. Just sit there and don't do anything. Because the moment you do, everybody is going to be focused on you. You don't want those problems. I'm telling you. Jacobs 893 says this year will be something special. I do believe that as well. Ryan 1234 says, who are your top 5 Vikings of all time? And I'm gonna say that I've watched, because I get Alan Page is there, but I don't have I'm not educated. I understand the stats that he's put up, but I'm not educated enough to have watched him and say, oh, yeah, 100%. But I get that he's there. But I'm just going to say, as far as top 5 players that I've watched, Moss, number 1, Adrian Peterson, number 2. After that, Steve Hutchinson, Jared Allen. Well, we're at 4 now. One more. Number 5. It's either Hitman or Eric Kendricks. It's. I'm probably going. Oh, I'm gonna go Hitman. Slight edge over Eric Kendricks. Those are my top 5. Game Changer 16 says Kevin Williams. I forgot about Tanyang Winfield. How could I forget about him as well? This is too difficult. Oh, this is too difficult. Yeah, put in Antoine Winfield over Hitman. But still, even Kevin Williams, I don't know, man. This is too tough. I'm gonna bitch out of that question that you asked. Lewis says, take that hat off. No, because I'm an arrogant Packers fan for the sake of this live stream right now. But the Vikings are great. It's all good. More of your thoughts? Yeah, I wanted to do this live stream. I think the last time I did it, actually not think, I know the last time I did it was day 2 of the draft that was happening. So I wanted to do this again instead of a simple 4 or 5 minute video. Jacobs 893 says their fans throw batteries for Christ's sake. Yeah, Eagles fans are no joke, man. They are different. You go to any other stadium, the Raiders in Oakland, I don't know how they are in Vegas, but the Raiders in Oakland, that was bad too. If you were to go there, you would get destroyed as an opposing fan. But Eagles fans, they might be the worst fans, and I'm not even kidding. It's really bad. They throw batteries, they throw beers. You could be minding your own damn business, and they don't care. That's the problem. You could be nice and Minnesota nice and hello, I brought one at the link, and they will stare. They will take your candy and throw beer at you at the same time. They do not care. Woo! Angel says J.C. Treader or Akeem Hicks. Treader, 100%. Not even a question. Or if you could sign both, hell, even better. More of your thoughts. Crown Juice says, are you planning on going to any road games this year? Maybe the Packers. I might go to Lambeau Field. Packers fans are cool. Even though we hate each other as far as teams are concerned, Packers fans, they're all right. I might go to a Packers fan or a Packers game, but once the schedule comes out, me and the wife, family, friends, we are 100% planning a trip to Minneapolis this year. I will keep you folks posted. And we'll do one more. Valhalla Sports Talk says the Raiders fans in LA were brutal. Saw dudes come out of the exit tunnel stabbed in the dark. I believe that. And also, this makes me think of this was 20. This may have been 2016. I think it was week 1 against the Niners at Levi Stadium, where Carlos Hyde went off on us for like 160 yards. They beat us. It was either that game or maybe it was a preseason game against the Niners. Either way, in Santa Clara. Talking about visiting other teams on the road. Niners fans, they jumped a Vikings fan, and he ended up going into a coma, and I don't know what happened, but I think the guys, they got arrested. But it's something about football fans, and you see another opposing fan in an opposing jersey, and it's just gladiator. It's just off with his head. Let's go after him. I don't understand it, but that's just what it is. And we'll do one more. Tang Yang says, went to Philly once as part of a road trip, made sure I brought my firearm. Well, I'm not going to say do that or don't do that, but Eagles fans are wild. John's Art 318 says It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia is a good representation of how Philly really is. There was a player that played for the Sixers. I want to say Mike Smith. I think his name is Mike Smith. He used to play for the Sixers. It was the Eagles versus Washington game. And again, a Sixers player. He's in Philly. He represents Philly fans. Went to an Eagles Washington game at the link, wore a Washington jersey, and dudes tried to jump him. How dare you? I don't think they knew who he was because he's not Joel Embiid or Ben Simmons, so maybe they didn't pay attention enough. But they tried to jump him. It didn't work out because Mike Smith, he beat the hell out of those guys. But they don't care, man. Eagles fans, they just don't go. Do not go to the link at all. I think that'll be it for today. This live stream. I don't know the next time that I'm going to do it, but thank you guys for participating. Gave my thoughts on trying to perfect the offensive line for the Vikings, as well as my thoughts on the Vikings-Eagles Week 2 Monday Night Football. I think the rest of the schedule comes out Thursday. I'll be sure to react to that, to do a game-by-game breakdown, a more detailed game-by-game breakdown than I did earlier. This live stream, we'll see you then, man. We'll see you tomorrow.